Okay, welcome to the webinar. My name is Bhanu Prakash. I'm from Fission. In today's webinar, we're going to talk about, we'll do a quick introduction of Fission Labs, who, what, and end-to-end. We will be talking about our QA capabilities a little later. We will also talk about the market trends in application development. We'll deal with the challenges and then come to the solution. Uh, right after the solution, we'll switch to the demo. We'll do a demo of Proton Tool, and then we will go to a Q&A. So I request all of you to keep your questions towards the end. And in case if we are not able to answer all the questions, we would be happy to share our contacts and take your questions on an email mode. So who are we? We are an offshore accelerator for technology innovators. Startups mostly. Fission Labs for last 6 years have been working with Silicon Valley startups. Last couple of years, we have been also working with Indian startups spread across Gurgaon, Pune, Bangalore, and here in Hyderabad. We have been also working with incubators. One such incubator is Hive Data. Hive Data is a venture capitalist company investing in companies that are building applications based on big data. So Fission Labs has been working with most of the companies from Hive Data portfolio. We have of late started working with innovation centers of enterprise companies, very big companies that have innovation centers to build innovative products. Of late, we have been working with a cosmetic company when we are helping their innovation center to build a few products. So what we do end-to-end product lifecycle from requirements to production, from prototype to scale. So minimum viable product to development, deployment, and scale, and everything from front end to back end. So in a nutshell, we offer all kinds of services that a product development company needs, which is right from a prototype to scale, deploy, and scale. At this juncture, I will hand it over to my colleague Vidyadhar, who will take over from me and talk about a little bit more about our services and then move on to QA services.
Thank you, Bhanu. Hi, everyone. So as Bhanu has explained about what Fission Lab is and what we do, I'll a little bit continue on what are all our capabilities. As today's demo is mainly focused on QA tool, which we have developed internally for addressing a lot of challenges in today's uh, ever-evolving technology time. So I'll be focusing more on the QA capabilities of Fission. So as Fission Labs, we are kind of work with the startups and the incubators and innovation centers. So the technologies we work on are, here is a snapshot of the technologies what we work on. It's more, if you see from the front end point of view, web, mobile, and Internet of Things. And from the back end, we mainly focus on scalability, high availability, effective distribution, and we also work on the analytics area. So these are the main focus areas for the Fission Labs. When it comes to our QA capabilities, we address testing challenges and speed up the total process. That's the main aim and focus for us. And how we do it is making the total QA process and the QA tools methodology independent. If you see today's trend in the market is ever changing. Like you have a lot of different methodologies coming up or evolving, like agile, and within the agile also different organizations implement with different sprints and different duration of the sprints and everything. And we make our solutions predictable, either from the schedule point of view or from the quality point of view. We make it very predictable. And when it comes to the reusability, we try to come up with a lot of components which are reusable and which can be utilized uh, in different areas of the same applications, like write once and use it in multiple places. That's the main target for us. That makes our solutions very optimized, and even the resource utilization also will be optimized because of that approach. And we have developed some custom tools, which I am going to talk about in the next slides. So before I talk about the our tools, custom tools, I would like to set a platform why these custom tools have been developed, and what are all the different challenges it addresses, and why we have to come up with these kinds of tools to address what kind of issues. So to do that, like I'm giving an example of, I've taken a study of Gartner, and as per the Gartner, today's application development software market growth is driven by evolving software delivery models, which are different development methodologies, and emerging technologies on various fronts. So if you see from the development methodologies, you have Agile, which will throw a lot of challenges from the testing point of view. Like for example, because of its nature of uh, putting the total application development into short sprints, and changing requirements, like you take a sprint and you do some development, and then you demo it, and once it fulfills the end user requirements, then fine, or otherwise scrap it and go with the new implementation or new approach for the solution. So that makes it very difficult for the QA team to test and come up with kind of test scripts or test suite which is in parallel with the development effort. Because of the short duration of the sprints, it makes it very difficult for the QA guys to come up and meet with the speed of the development, and whatever the time allocated for the development testing cycle also is very short. So that is one of the challenges, like which we need to address. And if you see from the application lifecycle management also, there are a lot of changes which are coming up. Along with the changes, a lot of challenges are being thrown. And when it comes to the technology, if you see mobile application development, a lot of different various devices, various platforms, and various versions of the platforms is a challenging environment, or challenging the development itself throws a lot of challenges for QA to come up with different kind of solutions, or come up with innovative solutions. And when it comes to the cloud, these days, most of the applications, like if you see mobile applications or other applications, are basically implementing service-oriented architecture. So that once again throws some kind of challenges to the QA, where QA need to come up with some innovative solutions. Systems and devices, as I explained in the mobile application development area, a lot of variety of the systems and variety of the devices are coming up, which will once again throw some challenges to the QA to meet the testing requirements and cope up with the development speed. And also the open source tools, which are kind of in every a domain, or in every area of the application development. You have a lot of options that are available in terms of the open source software. So all these things definitely throws some challenges. So let us look into the challenges that are being thrown towards QA in case of different development methodologies. Like as I said earlier, When it comes to the development, today's development is being done mostly using the agile methodologies, which is once again shorter sprint cycles. So that makes it for the challenge of adequate testing from the testing QA point of view. So because of the short duration of the sprints, it is very difficult for QA to come up with proper test cases to cover the total functionality. So that makes it the total testing effort as inadequate. So that we need to address. Code broken accidentally due to frequent builds. So if you see the way the development is being done is most of the development effort is being utilizing or implementing the continuous engineering, which will necessitate there will be daily builds or weekly builds. The build cycle is reduced. So in order to meet with the development effort, QA has to come up with some innovative solutions so that they cater to the requirements. And no time to check the performance bottlenecks because of the shorter duration of the sprints. If you have to take that the performance testing into the consideration, it will become very difficult unless you have proper tools and innovative solution in place. So that makes it very difficult to detect the defects in an early stage of the application development. So in order to come up with the early detection of the defects and reporting it in right time, you need to come up with an innovative solution or tool which will make the QA effort at a pace which the development goes on. So you need to meet with the development speed or development effort within those short duration. There is no specific time allocated for QA. So that's a big challenge for the QA. And in order to face these challenges, we need to come up with some innovative solutions and tools which will cater and which will minimize all these challenges. And when it comes to the mobile applications and open source tools, you have variety of devices and platforms. And most of the, as I was explaining, most of the development is done in a software or service oriented architecture. So that is basically using the developing the web services for the applications. So when you are trying to develop the web services, a lot of places the what happens is because of not having right tools and right solutions in place, the APIs are pushed into the production without enough testing being done on those APIs or without taking different scenarios into the consideration and validating the APIs and or trying to check the quality of the APIs. So all these challenges we are going to address. So all these challenges which we have discussed in the last slide are addressed by our solution, which is Proton tool. So Proton tool is not just one single tool, it is a combination of multiple tools. uh, uh, it will to address different areas of or different challenges what we have discussed earlier. Say for example, and all these tools have been developed because of whatever the challenges we face with our clients or when we are trying to deliver some solutions to our clients. So I'll just give an example. One of our clients who is having a user base of 100 million, more than 100 millions, they are a Android application. They have a solution which is basically Android application, which will be used by near about 100 million users across 110 countries. And it is compatible or it should be compatible in most of the devices, Android devices, which are available there in the market. Different brands, different versions of the Android. So to test and validate the application in all these areas, in all these areas, So seems I got someone raising their hands that they are unable to hear. Just let me check the settings. Yeah. So, okay, fine. Seems the audio issue is resolved. Let me go back to the slide where I'm talking about the Proton tool. So, as I was saying, all these solutions have been developed to address one or the other challenges of our current clients. And as I was explaining, one of our customer where we need to test different devices, different brands of the devices, different versions of the Android applications or Android operating system. So we had to come up with a solution which will facilitate us to execute, write one script and execute on multiple devices at a time. So the parallel execution in order to reduce the time to test and validate the application on variety of the devices. So that's basically a pain point of the industry, today's industry. Like you have some of the commercial tools which are available, but most of the tools are either deficit from one point of view or the other. So here we came up with a solution which will basically focused on giving a solution to reduce the time of execution of testing the application, native Android applications on multiple devices and multiple versions of the operating systems. So that is one of the solution which is called as disseminated mobile application testing with the features like web user interface where you can configure and execute the scripts remotely, parallel execution on multiple devices as I was explaining earlier, results dashboard with drill down capabilities. So reporting capabilities, whatever the current available tools in the market doesn't give that much clarity on the execution results. Here in our tool, it has got a drill down capability. You identify, you execute the script, and the scripts will, a couple of scripts will fail. And then you go to the report and you drill down to a level where you see the complete log of the execution, where it will also give you some of the areas where the code is breaking and all those things. So that is the capability we have built into the tool. And the next one is distributed performance analysis tool. As I was explaining in my earlier slides, uh, the performance testing or performance validation of the application is a bottleneck in agile methodology because of shorter duration. Why? Why? Because in order to test the application, do a performance analysis on the application, you need to set up the infrastructure, you need to set up the tools, proper tools in place, and then you need to write the scripts. Then you execute in that particular environment. Even after that, you are not very clear that you are really testing it against the real-time scenario. When I say real-time scenario, today's environment is a global environment, wherein the mobile applications, whatever you use, can be utilized from multiple countries across the globe. So you never know at what time of a 24 hours window the load will be more from what country or what region of the globe. So in order to replicate those, if you have to do it on in your local environment, it is very challenging. So to address that, we have come up with a solution which is called as distributed performance analysis tool, which will facilitate to replicate the real-time load scenarios and test the application, give the results on the fly in a web user interface, and it is configurable. What I mean to say in configurable is like you give the APIs in a text file format. We will upload it, and the scripts are generated or the scenarios are generated on the fly. And not only that, like if you have already written some scripts, we can upload those and then execute and give you the results in the form of an email, or you can view those in your web interface. So those are the capabilities which we built into. And in order to replicate the real-time scenarios, we have integrated this with the AWS. So what happens is, say for example, you have more load during the night IST time, there is a load from US region. Then in that case, what we can do is we can instantiate some of the instances from the AWS US region and load the system from there. But that means the cloud instances will become the clients for your application under test. So in that way, whatever the load we create and we test the application, that is near to real-time scenarios. In that way, your application is thoroughly tested and it is ready for the consumption of the users. So, and it also has the result dashboard, which will give you the complete analysis on the performance of the application with average times, min time, maximum time, and all those details. So that's about the distributed performance analysis. So these two are already addressing two to three of challenges which we discussed earlier. Let me now go to the next slide. Okay, so the next slide talks about other one tool and some of the frameworks what we developed in order to address some of the other issues what we talked about, other challenges what we talked about. So web service health check tool. This is more like as I was talking about the application development for the mobile application development, most of the architectures are service oriented architectures. So the APIs which are being developed, uh, there are tools, but they doesn't give you the facility to replicate all the scenarios. So what we did is we came up with a solution which has a web user interface, which is totally configurable. So what you need to do is you need to put all your APIs in one text file and give it to us. We will upload it in 10 minutes, and those are available for you remotely, like in a web interface. What you can do is you can just type in the parameter values, whatever that need to go with the API call, and then click on the test button. You will get the results on the fly or the response for that API call on the fly, and you can see the results and analyze, and you can even download that execution. And it has got a provision to select and execute the API calls which you need. That means you will be displayed with all the API calls, but you want to check the health of one particular API, you can even do that. And also these can be pushed into the performance testing also. So the same web services, whatever you have APIs, whatever you have tested, tested them for the health of the APIs can be pushed into the performance also. So, and this has also got a dashboard to compare response times of APIs over a period of time. You go on testing the APIs, you develop and you execute today, and then you develop and you execute tomorrow, and then you can easily compare the performance of yesterday's and today's, whether the improvement is there or not on the fly. So this will reduce the time for the QA to come up with proper tools or the scripts, and all those things are gone now. Only thing is the QA engineer can go ahead and then configure whatever need to be tested and then execute it, and then you have the results already available for you. Then you do a comparison, then you send a report with the comparison. So it makes the total QA engineer's job very easy, and in that way he'll be in at the same speed at which the development is going on. And as the duration of the sprints are very short, it will be very fast for the QA also. And you can be sure that adequate testing is being done on your application within that short duration of the sprint. So that's the feature of the tool. And then let me talk about the Selenium WebDriver frameworks and some of the other frameworks what we have developed. Uh, Even like whatever the tools you have seen, three tools, those need some kind of a scripting. So in order to reduce the time for scripting, what we have done is we have come up with some custom robust libraries which will reduce the time to write the scripts by at least by 40%. I would say in case of the Selenium and Selenium IPM Cucumber framework, it will reduce by at least 50%. So we have built such a robust libraries which will cater to the QA engineers to come up with the automated scripts for any kind of functionality with a reduced time of 40%. So that will fasten and that will speed up the total QA time and the QA engineer will be at the same pace as the developers, because whatever the time allocated for the QA is very less, very little in agile methodology or in the current development methodologies, whatever we are adapting. So these five tools, whatever I discussed, will reduce the total time for the QA efforts at least by 40% to 50%. So having said that, let me take you all to the demo of the total application and share the tool so that you get the what kind of functionality we have built into the total tool. So let me switch to the another window where I can share the solution what we have. Okay. Uh, yeah, this is the total application what we have come up with. Basically, this is the home page of the tool, Proton tool. Basically, it talks about whatever I have explained you just now in what is our philosophy as a QA and what are all the different technologies we work on, what are all the different open source tools we work on, what are all the scripting languages we got the expertise in, and it also talks like displays some information on our custom built tools. So having said that, let me log into the application or Proton tool. Trying to type in the user ID and password. This is the one. Okay, and then log in. So when you log into the application, basically it is going to navigate you to the dashboard, wherein you have the three tools and basically it will display the last execution results in the screen. If you see, the first one is related to the disseminated mobile application testing, and the next one is the performance summary. So these are the last one which got executed earlier as part of the testing. So and you have another section over here on the left pan that reports and tools, and you can select the project which you logged in, and you can switch the project if you have access to. So access control is also, it is more in order to build the applications more likely, like to make the content secure, we have built the access control mechanism into the place, so that only the guys who have access to one particular project can only see the results of their related to their project, so that other projects are not visible to them. So having said that, let me navigate to the tools. What are the tools we have first, and then go to the reporting section of it. So this is what I was talking about, disseminated testing tool. If you see, the interface is very simple. We have application under test APK and test APK, where you can upload the APK files and then submit it for the execution. The moment you submit it for the execution, it will, what the tool does is, it will take the APK and push it into the devices and execute the scripts on the devices. And once execution is completed, it will consolidate, it will capture the information or the execution results from multiple devices and consolidate it, and then throw it onto your user interface, where you can easily check how the execution went and what are all the defects. So here, if you see the left pane, you have the available devices. We have right now, as it is a demo instance, we have only connected 2 devices to it, which are showing as available devices. But this list can grow as per your testing requirements. And whatever the results executions are there, you can easily see into those. This is a sample report which I have opened it, which will show the execution of the script on 2 devices. Basically, the device ID is displayed, and the manufacturers of the devices are HTC and LG, and what are the different models which we have chosen, and how many number of test cases passed, how many number of test cases failed, total cases executed. And if you still want to dig deep into the results, then you click for the complete summary. Then the details of each test case are displayed over here. If you see, on the HTC one, 3 tests run with 2 passing and 1 failing in 1 minute, 1 second, including the timing and everything. And what is the Android model that has been utilized for testing purposes, or on which the application has been tested, and different regions, Japan, and all those things. So these are related to one of our sample demo application or demo scenarios. And here on the right side, you can see the screenshots with an animated GIF, and then view on all devices. So what basically it displays another way, like what are all the different devices that has been used, and then what are all the different errors that you got. And here, if you see string is not found, if you click over here, then all the details or the log is displayed over here. So if you see here, any developer looks into the details or the log displayed over there, can easily figure out where the code is breaking and how to fix it. So this makes the drill down capability of application is basically in order to make the bring the some simplicity into the total execution process of the test cases. So with this, what happens is that QA guy need not to spend a lot of time on consolidating these reports and preparing a complete meaningful report and sending it or sharing it with the stakeholders. You give the web interface to whoever it is and ask them and let them know that the execution is completed, and you can go and dig into the reports and then see the results and then fix them. And then the total development and validation cycle is totally reduced. So let me go back to the tool once again and show you other tools. So let me now navigate you to the performance testing tool, which I talked about. Like here, you will be getting 2 options. Uh, if you have already have a JMX or basically the back end of it is totally done using a JMeter, what you can do is you can configure an existing JMX and upload it and put it for the execution, or you can configure a new JMX. Let me first show you the option of new JMX. Here, this is totally a configurable thing where you can just type in the URL and then select whatever the method it uses, and then put it for the submit it for the execution. Whatever the below fields you're looking at, number of threads, number of instances, number of iterations, ramp up time, period, and everything, you can set it. Like number of threads totally depends on how many concurrent users you want to use and how many kind of iterations you want to make. So depending upon what kind of load you want to create, you will be giving all these informations and then submit it, and then you have your report ready in this format. Let me show you this. So once the execution is completed, you will be getting the results in a summarized format. Maybe here in this case, we are using only number of samples as 4, but say for example you are trying to look at a scenario where you need to test the application for 1,000 concurrent users. In those cases, what you need to all you need to do is you can use the same script, just change the number of instances. Say for example, if I am using 1,000 concurrent, if I am trying to produce a load of 1,000 concurrent users, any cloud instance or any system by default can take a load up to 200 concurrent users. I mean to say, like when you use 200 concurrent users, whatever the threads that required for from a system to load the application under test has certain limitations. So what happens is the moment you give thousand, you want to test it for the 1,000 concurrency, then at least you need to give a number of instances as 5. So the moment you give the number of instances as 5, what it does is it will create or it will instantiate 5 instances of cloud based on your account details, and then those instances will act like clients for the application under test, and they will generate, those 5 instances will generate load of 1,000 concurrent users on your application, and execute whatever the APIs you want to execute, and test the validate the system, and send the results back to the execution server so that it can consolidate and generate the report. And whatever the instances that are created, you can go to the AWS and then look into their user interface and figure out what are all the instances we got instantiated. And the good thing about this particular tool is once an instance is launched, it will one and test execution is completed, it will terminate by itself whatever the instances which are launched, and then send the execution report to the execution server. So in that way, it makes sure that even your cloud charges are reduced or minimized. So this is one of the options, and the second option in the same tool is configuring existing JMX. So here in this case, what you have is you have an option to choose the existing JMX file, upload it, and just select the number of instances based on the load you want to create, and then submit. And rest of the things the execution server will take care. Once the execution is completed, you will get the report in the same format, whatever the way I have shown you earlier. So, and the next tool is Web Health Check. So here, as I explained you, like all you need to do is you need to put your APIs into a text file and send it to us. We will upload and make the all the APIs available for available in the list over here. Say for example, once the text file is uploaded, then you select the module and the environment and everything you will be displayed with what are all the sorry what are all the different APIs you have uploaded with text fields, editable text fields where you can enter the values for as parameter values to be tested. Like in this way, what you can do is you can test multiple scenarios at a time, and once the execution is completed, then you can easily check the results. See, for example, lineups is one of the sample application what we have taken, and then test the select the one which you want to test it, and then execute. So click on the test services. Already I clicked on, and you can see immediately the web service has been tested, and you have the status as 200, and the execution time taken in milliseconds is 126 milliseconds. And I want to see the response. So just I click on that, and my response is displayed over here. What are the response that need to get, just I'll validate that response and then say okay. And if I want to download this, I can download or save it for my future references. Once downloaded, it will be saved in this format, in a PDF format, and you can open the file. You will see the results in this way: date, time, and module. What is the module you have tested it for? Environment. What is the environment in which you have tested it for? And then what are all the results which you got with execution times and everything. So this is the capability, or this is the kind of. So these are the basic capabilities which are clearly demonstrating that how you can make the QA engineers effort to come in speed with the development effort in today's application development trend. Like what are all the different methodologies which are being used, current methodologies, which expects the QA to be running in parallel with the development effort, or QA to be at the same pace with which the development is moving. Or in other words, there is no specific time that is being considered for the QA effort as it used to be in traditional waterfall kind of methodologies. So because of this evolution in the methodologies and evolution in the technologies, even the way the QA operates or the way the QA need to operate also getting changed, and the expectations on the QA engineers are being like raising expectations on the QA engineers. Right now, it's more like earlier days, like it used to be a manual effort. Like QA engineer sense, like he'll do some manual testing. But these days, the QA engineers also have to go with the same speed as the development guys. And then he should be having, a QA engineer should be having all the skills in order to come up with the different scripts, and in order to test it in automated way, which will save the total development time at least by 40%. So having said that, I'll pass it on to my colleague Banu once again so that he'll make the concluding statements. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Vidhu. Um, so, okay. So we just done with the demo. So we have time for Q&A. Um, if you have a question, please type it in the question box that's available. We'll take a couple of questions right away and then answer them. So while we are waiting for questions, I'll probably put a slide on where, what kind of. So if you still want to contact us, these are our contact details. You can mail um, Bhanu Mokla, that's me, at bhanu.mokla@visionlabs.com, or my colleague Sunil Baliga at sunil.baliga@visionlabs.com. You can also follow updates on Proton Tool on our social media channels, either Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. You can see the handles for each of those channels down there, and we continue to trend #Vision Proton as our hashtag. Again, I'm still open for questions. I think we have one question from Nivruti Chandel, and the question is, can we customize the reporting part? Vidhu?
Yes, we can. It totally depends on what kind of parameter values you want to capture or what kind of information you want to capture as part of the reporting. We can incorporate those changes. That should not be a big effort. Those can be customized easily.
Any other questions? Also, a point to note, as a follow-up action, we will be sending you a link to a feedback form. We would be very happy if you can fill that form for us and give your feedback. We are actually holding a US version of the same webinar tomorrow night Indian time, early morning PST, 9 o'clock PST. So if you want to recommend anyone to be part of this session, please feel free. And they can actually sign up using our, you can actually go to our website, visionlabs.com, and look up for webinar links to sign up. Any more questions? Okay, I think there is one more question. I'm trying to get to that question in 1 second. So I think the other question from, again, Nivriti Chandel is, we would like to modify the exception errors and structure of the Proton tool.
We would like to modify the exception errors and structure of the Proton tool. The question is a little bit doesn't have for me the clarity. Like what I was would do is I will get in touch with the person who has asked this question and then get some clarity what exactly he mean, and then go for the next one. And I have one more question: what max load can be tested using the Proton tool? It depends on what kind of requirements you have. There is no, from the Proton tool side, there is no limitation. But from your application, which is under test, it depends on the application capability, like how much load it can withstand. Say, for example, as I explained you, like basically we are using the AWS instances as clients in order to test the application. So depending upon number of concurrent users you want to test it with, test your application with, depending upon that you give the number of instances. Maybe, as I said, the maximum 200 concurrent users you can consider for one instance. In that way, if you are trying to test it for 2000, then you choose 10 instances. If you want to use it for 10,000, then use the 100 instances. So there is no limitation as such. The Proton tool doesn't have any limitation from the number of or the load that can be put onto the application under test, because it is not the Proton tool which is taking the load, rather it is the application under test which is taking the load, and the clients which are generating that load are AWS instances. Proton tool acts like a coordinator between both, and then consolidates the once the execution is done and gives you the consolidated report. So yeah.
Okay, let me thank everyone who happened to be part of this session. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Hope you had a good, now gained a bit of knowledge on the Proton and what Fission does as part of their capabilities, apart from startups and product development to QA capabilities. So we would be, yeah. Yes, so even the trends, the challenges, and the solution. So again, thank you for joining us. We would definitely would like to get in touch with you. Or in case if you want to hear more from us, please contact us. I sent the contact details, and also we'll be sending you feedback form as we discussed. Thank you, and have a good day.